What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the trends are showing for Tesla and based off what is going on. I'm also going to talk about some very bullish catalysts for the long-term future of Tesla that still look very, very good, and what is going on with the share price right now based off the trend we're seeing and based off where the key resistance level is. Before I break anything down, before I talk about what's going on with Elon Musk too, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. And you could always sell these 12 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some Tesla shares for free. This is a limited time offer. It ends in just 2 weeks, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So Tesla's up about 0.04% for the day. Overall, it is just barely in the green. And I did actually think in my previous video that Tesla would get a nice run to about 930 a share, 920 to 930. We get a rejection off that zone, and then we'd start to drop just a little bit. And I actually predicted Tesla would close around 915, maybe around the low 900s. We ended up actually getting rejected, and we ended up closing below 900, which is not the best of signs. So I want to actually explain what this means for the share price going forward, and it's something very important you got to look out for. So right now, Tesla has very strong resistance in this zone right here. I can even change the color to like red just to make this as clear as possible, because when we entered this zone right here, which is between that 920 to 930 range, the resistance is so strong that it's going to take something very massive to actually break this very key zone. So with that said, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually touch this again, but if we do touch it, it's going to require a lot to actually break past this, and it does seem like this is an area where we could get a rejection. So this is a very good opportunity if you are trading it to actually look at the price action in these ranges. Now, this doesn't mean that Tesla's never going to break past this over the next couple of weeks, because we do have a very, very big catalyst coming out, and I think it's right over here. We have the Tesla stock split vote coming very, very soon. It's actually going to be held during the annual shareholder meeting right over here. So what's essentially happening is Tesla revealed that it will be for a 3-for-1 stock split if approved by the shareholders. The vote is coming up at Tesla's annual shareholder meeting on Thursday, August 4th. So when these big stock splits happen, there's no guarantee that this is just improving the company fundamentally or anything like that. But what happens is the options chain can actually go crazy. People can become very excited. And we typically see a lot of FOMO come in during big events like this. Now, stock splits don't guarantee very bullish price action, because we did see how this affected Amazon and Shopify during a bearish price market. But the thing is, for Tesla, I do think that this thing is showing lots of signs of potential FOMO. So we could see some temporary nice moves thanks to this. Now, as I mentioned in my previous videos from before, I did mention the fact that there are lots of fake outs in the markets and that the bears will eventually most likely come back, perhaps in the next couple of weeks, maybe in a month or two from now, considering we have FOMC and also all those gaps down there. But I'm not going to go into too much detail about those. Just to show you guys a quick example of a gap fill, you can see Tesla had this gap right here, and to open, we actually gapped all the way up to 9. We gapped up, then we pushed up to 935, then we ended up dropping down, filling the gap. So you can see there are like really quick examples of gaps getting filled. And I do believe there will be more gaps to get filled way down there in the 700s, but I don't think it's going to happen that quickly. I do think Tesla's going to make some bullish price action moves over the next like week or so when we have the stock split, but it's just going to be temporary. Until then, some other things will happen. Now, just to remind you guys, we have a very key resistance zone right here if we do end up touching that 920 to 930 range. But right now, Tesla is trying to respect a slight downtrend from here, because Tesla's not comfortable in this 900 zone right now. We're going to this kind of like new territory we haven't been in so long. So now when Tesla actually made it to the 900s, we got a big rejection off of that. So it's going to take a lot of effort to actually break break these very key resistance levels. And I don't think it's impossible. It's just pretty difficult. And we're not necessarily at the stock split just yet. It's still a few days away. So I still think Tesla's going to trade kind of sideways, maybe drop a bit over the next couple of days. But once the stock split comes, it does have the potential to push up even higher. So for tomorrow, let me just draw this out real quick before I talk about the other big pieces of news. When you look at Tesla, its price action is also going to depend on the overall market. You'll notice that the SPY and NASDAQ were also both red, and they did play a role in Tesla kind of dropping today. So let me just show you that first before I draw out Tesla's stock price. What I mentioned in my previous video was this very key zone for Tesla. Let me actually show you what this is. Not just Tesla, but also the SPY. Sorry about that. When looking at SPY, check this out right here. The SPY was pushing up, right? And we're very close to where this 200 EMA is. This would take the SPY to 415, and we came super close to it. We didn't quite get there yet. And it is almost looking like the SPY is struggling to actually break past that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the SPY actually holds those levels. As of right now, it's not looking the best. But I want to just talk about how the SPY does have a little room to push up just temporarily before getting a potential rejection. And if we do break 415, this 200 EMA, and hold it, that would be a nice sign. So we'll have to just wait and see how that goes. But if the market kind of remains kind of sideways and maybe starts to drop a bit, that will affect Tesla. NASDAQ also had a very similar situation. We came kind of close. We came a little close to coming to this 200 EMA, but since then, we didn't really break past it. But anyways, going back to Tesla, this is what I want to show you. If the overall market is not improving, if the market is just not pushing as high as it was kind of like going into the last week, we could have a bit of a cool off for a couple of days until the big date comes for the stock split. So for tomorrow, we are starting to respect a slight downtrend for Tesla. We may actually trade a little sideways thanks to where support and resistance levels are. Into open, I do believe it's possible for Tesla to actually push back into the 900s, but it's very likely we may not go all the way up to like 935 again. We might actually get stopped around 920 this time. And with that said, 920 to 935, that's like a zone. In that zone, I do see lots of resistance. So Tesla might get a rejection off that again. We might try to fight for it, but we may not even hold it. And then tomorrow is going to be a very big day where we see how does Tesla hold those $900 levels. And as of right now, as the trend is showing us, it's not holding up too well. And this thing could actually get a rejection again. So what Tesla has a tendency of doing is it tries to test these levels over and over again to see if it could hold them. And it gets very comfortable on these levels in order for it to actually hold them. And right now it's not showing that many signs. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing actually gets another rejection and it actually drops as low as that $880 level. That's the key support zone I'm actually looking at. Now, I want to see this thing hold 880. If we don't hold this, it has the potential to go all the way down to where that key supply zone was, which is around that 858 levels. But I'm not saying it happening that fast. I could still see this thing close around the high 800s, and we might actually see a slight red day around maybe an 875 close, maybe the high 800s. So I am a little bit more bearish for tomorrow. But like I said before, the stock split could be a catalyst that will likely push this thing up temporarily. And we do have the big vote coming out on the 4th during the annual shareholder meeting. So if that comes out, it's going to be very good because a lot of retail investors, a lot of people can actually start buying whole shares over again, and the options also become cheaper. I know I'm going to be snagging a lot of those as well. So I still am kind of keen on seeing a bullish move from Tesla. But as I mentioned before, I don't trust the market entirely. And you still have to be very cautious because the bears will most likely step in again when the time is right within the next couple of weeks. So be ready for those rejections. All right. Now, with that said, I do think that we may see a bit of a downtrend kind of perpetuate for Tesla. It may continue like this, but once the stock split comes, we might see a nice reversal, and this thing may actually start testing this demand zone again and actually break above it, right? So that would be a very good sign. Now, as far as other technicals actually go, let me actually pull up the MACD for you guys. And I like to use the RSI. RSI is not looking that great. It's basically correlated with the chart on the shorter time frames. If we look at how this thing is moving right now, we saw lots of nice momentum. I was mentioning this a couple of days ago, nice momentum on Tesla, and we're starting to see the MACD getting a little bit closer to the signal line. So if we get that crossover, that would show some bearish momentum continuing. And as of right now, it's showing a little bit of a sign of that potentially happening. So be prepared for that as well. RSI is cooling off a little bit on the 2 hour time frame. On the daily, it's almost no different. You can see it right here. We do have nice momentum on the daily, but it's starting to actually cool off a little bit too on the RSI. RSI, it's not necessarily overbought because on Tesla, it tends to not matter that much. Even if RSI is overbought, this thing could still continue to rally, but it is cooling off a little bit. So just be prepared for that. Now, when it comes to a cool off week, we had a really nice week last week. A bit of a cool off is completely fine. So I'd like to see how this thing reacts after the stock splits. And other than that, I still think that the fundamentals are very strong for the long-term future of Tesla. If you look at this right here, if you look at this chart right here, you can see Tesla has some very strong margins relative to its competitors, even in the EV space, whether you're looking at VW, BMW, or even like Ford or Nissan. And that's a very good sign because Tesla's showing massive improvement. Their margins are still pretty decent. And I really think there's going to be a big improvement as the time goes forward. On top of that, I want to talk about there was a slight decline in their margins, but that was essentially happening with the overall market due to what was happening in China. But as long as they give us more announcements about the gigafactories coming out, big expansions, it's going to be amazing for them going forward. There's also a lot of news coming out about EV tax incentives. This could actually be a bullish catalyst for Tesla as it does provide more incentives for people to buy the cars and actually go into the EV space. So in my opinion, I mean, this isn't the biggest catalyst ever, but it could actually be very positive for their sales and their margins as well going forward as they improve. Another thing that's very good that Elon Musk actually mentioned that I want to talk about is I mentioned this a couple of days ago. Elon Musk did mention that he doesn't think inflation is going to continue to increase. He thinks it's going to start trending down from here. And many different indications are kind of suggesting that he is correct about that. And with that said, when he was asked the question, people asked Elon Musk, are you going to keep raising the prices of Teslas? And Musk said, it's not clear right now. So that's a good sign as long as they don't continue to increase them too much. I think it's going to be very good for the company as well. And they already did actually increase prices due to supply chain issues and inflation. So hopefully things cool off from here and we see big improvements. That's also going to be very good for their company. Now, when it comes to Elon Musk's Twitter page, I haven't talked too much about his tweets, at least over the last few days, but he hasn't really tweeted anything too massive for Tesla just yet, but he did like some things that I wanted to share with you guys. Elon Musk liked this tweet right here that shows a Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y are the best selling cars in Switzerland. So that's very awesome to see them actually transitioning into the EV sector and also Tesla's expansion into many different countries out there across Europe. On top of that, we're seeing big things coming out across the globe as well. Not only is Tesla very dominant in China, but we're actually seeing the massive sales for the EV sector, particularly for the Model Y and the Model 3. The Model Y in particular was absolutely massive for the first half of the year. And I do believe the potential is still really increasing as we see new cars coming. So going into the next year, I see their margins improving. I think Tesla's earnings per share will also improve. The deliveries should improve, and we should get more news about new potential gigafactory expansions. Deliveries are going to go up too. The long-term future is extremely bright for this company, and that's essentially what we've been talking about. So short term for this market, okay? Tesla might downtrend now from here because we have very strong resistance in those zones. And let me actually delete this just to make this a little bit easier to see. Uh, what I essentially see happening is if Tesla does end up dropping below 900 again, if we like push up and then drop below it, 880 is a key level to be looking out for because I do think Tesla may test this level relatively soon. And if we can't hold that, this thing may actually come down to that 858 level. Now, this was a very key zone. This is where we actually filled the gap. So maybe around 860. That's essentially where I see this thing coming to if it cannot even hold 880. Remember, the cool off is fine after the stock split. I still think Tesla can make some nice moves. But once again, I don't see that. I don't see Tesla just going to all-time highs just instantly. I still see a big rejection coming in the next couple of weeks, and that's due to the fact that the bears will most likely return. We have FOMC coming, and we do have a market that I don't fully trust right now, right? So be very cautious when it comes to your plays. I would recommend just securing profits if you can. Once again, not financial advice. And also, if you're scalping, just don't be too greedy. Profit is profit. Give yourself a pat in the back when the time is right and watch out for those fake outs, right? The market makers like to fake people out. They like to trick people, so be very careful with what you're doing. And also, do not invest more money than what you can actually lose. Now, once again, I know I'm kind of talking about trading a lot, and this is not financial advice, but that's how I'm going to end this video. So please have a fantastic rest of the day. Don't be surprised if we do see a little bit more downside for the markets, maybe Tesla just temporarily, which is just a nice cool off. And just note that regardless of all of this, the long-term future is still very, very bright. And the majority of my viewers and people across the world are just dollar cost averaging, and they're just very excited for the deals we're seeing, because for the long term, I think buying Tesla in the 800s, even if it goes down to the 700s or 600s, those are some killer deals for the long term. So just be prepared, be ready, because as years go on, we're going to look back at this time and just really wish we bought those dips, because I see big improvements coming. Anyways, thank you for listening. Pay attention to those key support and resistance levels, and be ready, because the future has big things to come. As far as the stock split goes, I do think this could actually lead to some bullish price action. I just don't think it's just there yet. We have to wait till August 4th. So be ready, be prepared, and stay safe and strong for everyone. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is bright, and peace out.